Hi everybody, welcome back to the What Now Workshop. Today we have a project fixing a screen door. I'm going to be rescreening an Arcadia screen door because our dog has decided to make a hole in it and work his way out of it or push it open. And now that the weather's cooling off, we want to fix that. And that's what we're going to do today. All right, so what we've got is we've got a huge hole in the bottom of our Arcadia door screen, which, like I said, our dog has been either getting out through or sticking his head through and pushing it open. So we need to fix that. And the stuff that you're going to need to fix that is a roll of screen. You're going to need some screen spline. You're going to need a tool to put the spline in, and you will need a razor knife. Now you can get all this stuff at your local hardware store or your local improvement store. I believe the screen material is probably about 20 bucks. The tool itself is probably about $5, and the spline is about $15. But the point of this video is that you can do all this stuff yourself rather than have to take this to somebody and have them do it and charge you a lot of money. This is something anybody can do themselves. So let's get started. All right, so we're about to start. Now I've already taken the screen door off and I've put it on our patio table because I don't have a table that's long enough out in the garage to do this. But what you want is something that's flat, straight, and you want to use some clamps. And you want to try to keep the screen frame as square as you can. Again, I'm just going to put a couple clamps on here on all four sides where I can. It doesn't have to be perfectly square because the frame is going to take care of that. And then I'm going to put the other two clamps on. The next thing you need to do is we're going to have to take off this handle. Now, I've already kind of unscrewed it a little bit. And I've got this out. So once I've got everything clamped down and I've got this off, then we can take the spline out. Okay, now that we've got all four sides of our screen clamped down, and again, I know this is hanging off the table, but you want to get something like this that you can pull the old spline out. And in some cases, you can reuse the spline if you want. A lot of times it's dried out and old, so you don't have to reuse it. You can get new stuff. But if you absolutely had to, you could reuse the same spline. Okay, now that we've got our spline out, the screen should just lift right out because it's being held in this little track. We'll just roll it up and get it out of the way. And then once that's done, then we will get our new screen laid out. Okay, so now that we've got our old screen out, what we want to do is take our new roll, and you want to make sure that the screen overlaps our track where it's going to be put in with the spline. We don't have a problem with that on the sides per se, but you want to make sure that it's overlapping on the ends. Now what we can do with this tool is you just take this and you want to really, you start over here, you want to start in a corner and just push it into the corner, and then as you go, once that's in the corner, then you can start with your spline. And then once you put your spline in, then you can work your way up the screen. Now with this table not being as long as the screen itself, we're going to have to get to that point and then move it and then reclamp it. Okay, now that we've got the screen put into the track, it's time for our spline. And again, like I mentioned, you want to start in a corner and then push it in. Work your way across the bottom, and you may have to move the screen material out of the way here and there. And don't worry if it's not tight in the beginning, because it will get tight as you move your way around the actual screen door. So we'll get this put in to this corner, and then we're going to work our way up. Now, you may have to cut it into two pieces, start another piece over here and work your way up as well. And you work both of them together till you get to the other end. Okay, so I've already got the other side kind of pushed up and started, and now I'm going to do the same thing with this side with another piece. I'm going to work my way up till I get to a certain point. Okay, and then I'll probably stop there and then go back to the other side and do the other side the same way. All right, and see, now I'm back on the other side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hold this with my hand, push down, but I'm also putting pressure with my hand on the frame so it doesn't crinkle, wrinkle, or leave any kind of slack in it. We want it to be semi-tight, and that's what you'll have to do as you're working up. Now what will happen is as you push this spline and the screen material into this groove, it's going to tighten it automatically. But you just kind of have to work one side at a time, a little bit, all the way up. Okay, and I'm almost to the same spot as I was on the other side, and now I have to reposition the screen. Okay, now that I've moved the table, or not the table, but the screen door down on the table, now I can roll the remaining screen out, kind of pull it a little tight, and then continue on one side or another. Just so happen to be standing here, so I'm doing this side. Again, you kind of want to pull it a little bit. And then once you get to a spot, again, you don't want to go too far. You want to come to the other side. Do the exact same thing. Working your way up. Make sure the screen is pulled taut. Okay. All right. Now this is the tricky part when you've got clamps on. You most likely want to make sure you have enough to overlap. And I'm going to be a little conservative with this. I'm just going to cut it. That way it gets the roll out of the way. And I can continue on with the spline. Okay, so now that we've got the remaining spline, what I did was I ran the spline on this side all the way to about here, and then ran this side all the way to about right here, and that's where they meet up. Now it's time that we cut off the excess. You still want to leave the clamps on. I mean, you can take them off if you want, but what you want to do is you just want to run your knife across the outside of where the spline is. You want to make sure you don't cut on the inside part, otherwise you're going to have to redo this. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to cut around the whole exterior of it, get rid of the excess, and then we will be ready to reinstall this screen back on our door. Alright, so now that we've got our excess screen taken off, it's nice and tight. You can see it doesn't have any bubbles in it or anything. Now we have to put the handle back on. And what we need to do with that is we need to put this back through, and we need to attach the screws to it. I have to make sure that this is right, set in the same spot. So basically you're just going to screw this back down into its home, if you will. Notice that I didn't take the bottom part off because, well, I didn't really need to, actually. So let's make sure that that goes back in, and it looks like it has. Alright, so now our screen is done, our handle's put back on. Now we need to put our screen back on, which I didn't really show how to take it off. just because it's kind of tricky. But you want to get it in the track at the top. The wheels have springs on them. And then when you come down to the bottom, what you need to do is you need to take a flat screwdriver and underneath these wheels, pry up until it goes onto the track. So I'm almost there. Need to get this one. And this is going to take a little bit because these things are tricky. Okay, so I got the door back on its track. It did need a little adjusting. Of course, you're going to have to adjust it to get it on or off. And what you'll have to do is there's a little screw right here in this notch. You put a screwdriver in there and you tighten it. And that's what adjusts the wheels up, pushes these wheels down, pushes the door up. And this right here is our little monster that was getting out. I don't know if you can see that or not. But that's our little escape artist. That's why we did this. And we're also going to be putting and my door's stuck because I'm trying to open it from up here. There we go. So now it slides back and forth nice and easy like it's supposed to. We're also going to be putting a cage on the outside to prevent this guy from getting out. So that is probably what we're going to be doing next, but I'm going to go ahead and end this video now by saying, again, this is something that any homeowner can do. Just simply buying the supplies at Home Depot or your local hardware store. It's only going to be an investment of about 20-30 bucks. You can do this yourself. Do not spend a bunch of money to hire a screen company to come and do your screens. Unless, of course, you want to, but I always like to try to help people save money. Again, if you have any questions or any comments, please let me know. Put them in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching my channel, and I'll see you next time, the What Now Workshop.